All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And of course, thanks for subscribing. Truly appreciate it. We are back at it, and we've got the latest public build, non-FSD beta, 2023 38.6. Now, it's been a while since we've given an update on the main branch, if you will, but it's got some features in here that made me really reluctant to actually download this particular build. It's not often that Tesla releases features that you're not excited about, but every now and again, there are some features in terms of data sharing, in terms of location, anything that has to do with them or someone else having access or having visibility into where you are or your personal information that gets you a little bit cringy. And that's what we have in this latest update. But let's go through it one by one to see what features there are and what this particular feature I'm talking about has to offer. Okay, so first thing we have is predictive charger availability. This is great. This says superchargers will now forecast availability and wait time by factoring in the travel time for you and other Tesla vehicles en route, as well as past activity of superchargers. This is a really, really cool feature, actually building on one of the older promises of Tesla, which is fleet learning and fleet communication, which means that if one Tesla is doing one thing, it feeds that information back so that other Teslas doing the same thing, driving down the same road under the same conditions, will be able to understand and have that information available to them. This is now limited specifically to superchargers and saying that, hey, if five of us are headed towards a supercharger, it's going to now forecast the availability of that superchargers, not just based on the local activity of who's using it and how long they have left to charge, but also based on other Teslas that are en route, whoever's closest, whoever's furthest, and then make adjustments accordingly. So if you're the furthest Tesla away from a supercharger and there are four more other Teslas on the way and there's only 4 stalls available, it will now reroute you based on that information, based on that knowledge. So that's super, super valuable, super helpful to have. Okay. The next feature we have here is faster hazard lights after a crash. If your vehicle is in a crash, hazard lights are still functioning. They will flash faster to be more visible, and it's not applicable to all vehicles, to all vehicle incidents, but specifically certain types of crashes. Okay, so this is great. Probably something that has to do with triggering the airbags or something of that nature will trigger this to work, and it'll just flash faster to indicate to everyone that, hey, something's wrong with your car. So very cool. The next one we have here is Vampire Survivor. Don't really play this. Don't really want to talk too much about it. But here we have location sharing. This is something that's very interesting, right? So this says an icon will appear at the top of your touchscreen when an app requests your vehicle's live location data. You can turn this off at Control Safety Allow Mobile Access. This also turns off Tesla app access, okay? When this setting is on, your vehicle communicates directly with the Tesla app and other apps, but Tesla doesn't track your location, and they have a privacy policy linked to there. So this is where we get a little bit dicey, a little bit touchy, especially if you're using third-party apps or if you use your Tesla app in a specific way. Okay, so this is basically saying that, hey, we're going to notify you, you or the person in car, whenever someone requests the live location or looks at the live location of your car. Okay, and it'll show a little icon there. Now, for us, it's a situation of, hey, we want to check on loved ones. We want to check on family members who may be borrowing the car. We want to be able to check on them and do it discreetly, right? To make sure they're okay, make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, whatever the case may be. This now sort of shines a red flag on that and says, hey, you know what? Someone's looking at your location. Now, from a pure privacy and security perspective, I get it. I understand it. I understand that if for some reason you didn't give someone access to the app or access to your car, and you see that app going off, that's a red flag that someone has your location. That makes sense. But in the instance where you share Teslas, you share cars, you let someone borrow your car, you kind of want to have that discretion of being able to check on the vehicle without alerting them that you're checking on the vehicle or seeing where it is. You know, I have a cousin who got a Tesla Model 3. He's a younger guy. He goes places he maybe shouldn't be going, and sometimes his parents need to check on him. This feature will now tip him off that they're checking on him and finding out where he is. Maybe he is where he's supposed to be. Maybe he's not where he's supposed to be, but this kind of tips them off. So this is not a great thing, just in general, in terms of just being able to being able to not turn it off. You can't turn it off. If you turn it off, you disable mobile access entirely. So you can't do anything remotely with the vehicle. But if you turn it on, you turn mobile access on, this feature comes on by default. So that's my little problem with it. It should give an option to turn it off. Okay, so let's check this out in person. So I'm on the Tesla app now, loading it up. And as you see right here, it's a little smaller than I thought, so I'm happy about that. It pops up right here, that little mobile access icon. I'll zoom in a bit so you guys can take a look at that in a little bit more detail. But that's it. That's what pops up every time someone requests your live location. And every time you open the Tesla app, it requests your live location. So even if you're just opening the app and trying to view the vehicle's location at the summary screen of the app, it still triggers that because it shows the location of the car without you having to press the location icon and getting the detailed information, showing the map, showing the, the destination and whatever the case may be. So anytime you open it up and it requests location in the app, it's now going to show you that. Okay. In addition to that, anytime any third-party apps or services that you might be using for data logging or for remote access to your car using your watch or your other device that may be leveraging the behind-the-scenes APIs for mobile access, they're also going to be having this on. So in certain instances, depending on how you have it set up, this is always going to be on. And sometimes it may come on and sometimes it may come off depending on how that app is operating and how it's working with your car. So that's just something to make note of. If someone doesn't know or is not paying attention, I appreciate the size of it. So it's a little bit more discreet than I thought, but it's not completely discreet because it does pop up. But if you know to look out for that and you see that pop up on your screen, you know someone's pinging your live location, someone is checking up on you, someone's checking in on you, one of your apps is running, so on and so forth. So there's two cases for it, or maybe more than two cases for it. I'm just not a particular fan of an option that sort of exposes data without allowing you to turn it off specifically without turning everything off. That's my biggest problem. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you think about this location sharing feature. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? The next thing I want to point out is sort of an unwritten, undocumented changes that happen within these couple of releases. This is 2022-38 release notes, but 2023-38.6 is minor bug fixes to that release. So these are the features and these are the bug fixes. But there are a couple of other changes that I'm not particularly happy about with this latest branch of release. And that is the new updated sounds for the Model S and Model X, right? They basically given them the Model 3 and Model Y sounds, which are not great sounds. They're not premium feeling sounds. Even for the Model 3 and Model Y, they seem a little bit less premium. I'll just say that, right? And that means that when you start the car, there's a certain sound. When you put it in reverse, it's a certain sound. When you put it in park, there's a certain sound. Those sounds are pretty cool for the Model S and Model X when they had the refresh and it came out. Now we get the Model 3 and Model Y sort of unified sound, and that just doesn't really fit the vehicle. So let me show you what I mean. Boop, boop. That's the sound it makes when you go put it in gear. That's when it goes reverse. And that's when it goes to park, right? That's what it sounds like. And you might say, okay, you know what? That's not bad. That sounds okay. But now listen to what it used to sound like for the Model S and X. Much crisper, much nicer, much more refined, much more subtle as well. Not really in your face, much more subtle. Again, listen to it again. Not really calling out the fact that it's, making a noise. It just kind of is there. You don't really pay too much attention to it. Okay, so as you see, there is a difference. I prefer to have the older sounds. I wish we could probably toggle between the two. I feel like these sounds are a little bit too clunky, too heavy. Don't really fit the vibe of the Model S and X. They don't really fit the vibe of the Model 3 or Model Y either, especially when you compare it to other competitors in the class. I think they all should take on the older sounds, the older notes, which seem a little bit more sharp, a little bit more crisp, a little bit more premium when you're shifting it out of gears or when you're putting it in park. This seems like a very safe, like sort of a generic sound for go forward, go backwards, go put in park. And it doesn't really give the vibes that Tesla is used to having, specifically with the refresh S and X sound. But let me know what you think in the comments. Okay. The last update has to do with the volume control, the UI. Tesla, a while back, 2023.36, I believe, was the branch that introduced a new UI for the instrument panel. Let me shift gears here and show you what that looks like. Okay, so they introduced a new UI specifically for certain elements, right? Certain elements of the touch screen, certain elements of the instrument panel. And in this instance, they updated the volume control, which is very, very tiny right now. This is what it looks like right now. I know they try to be more discreet with it, more sleek with it, but it just really doesn't align with how Tesla has done volume for years with the wedge that went from like small to high up to 11. And it really feels like you're getting the volume up there and you're really cranking up the music. This is very small, sometimes even hard to see what number it's on, depending on, what the light conditions are in the car. But yeah, this is tiny. It just doesn't do the same thing that the wedge does. Would love for them to bring the wedge back, maybe do it a little differently. Maybe it's a vertical wedge where it goes up just to give it more pop. And I feel like, as Tesla starts to increase in volume and Model 3s and Model Ys take over the world, and soon to be Cybertrucks take over the world, I would love for Tesla to retain some of its DNA, retain some of its wow factor, its uniqueness, and not just become generic car company, generic volume slider, generic sounds, really retain its character, right? Because electric cars don't really have sounds that they make. So whatever noises or sounds or interactions that you put in the car, that creates the character, that creates the quote unquote soul of the car. And I think that's going to be valuable to differentiate itself from everything else and make it stand out as a premium car, as a top end car, as a leader in the electric space versus just being a generic car. So yeah, just little small things here and there. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about the volume control. Let me know what you think about the sounds, and let me know what you think about the location sharing. Okay. We'll be back with some more FSD beta videos coming soon. But until the next time, enjoy your day. Enjoy your Tesla.